Tonight, the big roads debate. Everywhere in this country, anytime we have done a survey about what issues are most important to people, they mention roads. And no wonder, in the last 48 hours, it's become front and center of national discussions again. Today, there is a demonstration, for example, somewhere in the western region. Again, people were upset about their roads. We've seen that happening every now and then. And really, at the heart of this is what policymakers, the government, the politicians in power are doing to fix our roads. And that is why you almost always see a pitching of the two main political parties who always form government around the subject of roads. And tonight we're going to be looking at it again, especially as the government had laid out their own plan and also did a certain comparison with the future, with the past government indeed. And so my research desk, the Joy Research Desk, put together some materials that we're going to be going through just to set a tone for this conversation. Now, this is a graph that the research desk put together based on the government's own data that they put forward on Sunday, the roads minister did say. So this is a road maintenance program, and this is the government's claim of how much road maintenance they've done over the period from 2017 to 2020, but also looking ahead to 2021, later to the end of this year. And government says that when they took office in 2017, they did 4,000 kilometers in terms of maintaining the roads of this country. That dropped to 30,000 the next year, 2018. It dropped further to 37,000 2019, and then even further in 2020. And so what you begin to see is a very interesting trend that consistently, and this is according to the government's own data, consistently since 2017, government is spending less and less and doing less and less kilometers in terms of maintenance, right? And what is accounting for this? So government is spending less on road maintenance over the year. So from 40,000 kilometers, roads maintained in 2017, all the way down to 2020, 25,000. And even shockingly, there's a steeper drop in how much government is spending on roads maintenance, and also in terms of the sheer amount of kilometers when it comes to this year. And in fact, if you look at the comparison, 6,600 kilometers of roads only will be maintained in 2021 in comparison to, say, 2017 when we had 40,000. That's a huge drop in how much government is spending on road maintenance. That's the first thing you begin to appreciate on this. But what is happening? Why? In a country where we know that one of the biggest things we lack is maintaining roads once we've built it. And so why is government spending less and doing less kilometers over the years? We'll get into that shortly. Now, the total road maintenance, and this is the breakdown for you. We've tried to break this down in pictorially for you, just to make sense of the various roads. So urban roads, in total, if you put all the infrastructure that has happened, and again, this is government telling us that in the 4 years, they've done 130,000 kilometers in terms of maintenance, right? And so Highways Authority had done 62,000 of that. The feeder roads is 49,000, and then urban roads is 18,000. So again, you begin to see where government is putting more of its focus in the highways, followed closely by feeder roads, and then urban roads is pretty small in terms of comparison to the rest. Okay. Now again, this is all based on the government's own data. And this is the big plan, the promise, right? Is to build 60,000 kilometers of roads to be completed out of the over 11,000 that they are projecting over the next 4 years. And they're saying what you can bang on is that they will finish 6,000 kilometers of roads. They also want to do 120 bridges to be built out of the 200 program. Okay, so that's a lot. Now, this is the part that is stirring some controversy. Government want to build 20 interchanges to be completed out of 25 that they've programmed for the next 4 years. This is a lot. I mean, if you look at the cost of one interchange. It's a lot, as we've seen in this country. So 20 interchanges in 4 years. How is that feasible? We'll get into that. And then 6,000 kilometers of roads to be completed, as we've noted. Now, there are some critical roads government has been touching also. Government has identified 81 critical roads of a total of 2,000 kilometers across all 16 regions that they're going to be putting their focus on, at a total cost of 7.8 billion cedis. That's a lot of money. Where is government going to get that money from, by the way? If you look at how much they budgeted for this year, if you do a sort of, an analysis based on what they budgeted this year for the next 4 years, where are we going to get the gap? How do you fill that gap? Because there's a huge gap. We'll come to the analysis shortly when we sit down to have the conversation. The cocoa roads have come into some controversy. 325 projects are currently ongoing across the country, according to government. Total length of 4,000 at a cost of 14 billion. We'll tell you the NDC side in Parliament had said that they did just a little over 2,000 kilometers and they spent 5 billion. Government is doing 4,000. This is just about 5,000. And they're spending 14 billion. And that what's accounting for the huge jump in the cost per kilometer for cocoa roads, for example. Now, again, new regions that have come up, government is going to spend some money in this area. The minority has been reacting today, and they're questioning the 20 interchanges. How is government going to do that with the limited resources available? And they suggest, ask the question about possible inflation in the cocoa roads, and that the move with the road funds that has been capped, they won't support government when it comes to the road tolls unless that changes, so that a lot of the money, in fact all the money, goes to the road ministry to do what they're supposed to do. And again, the budget questions begin to emerge. So if you're budgeting 2.4 billion for the sector generally, but just around 1 billion is going into capital expenditure, how do you justify the big promise of spending all this money in this area? Now, the research desk did some fact checking of the roads minister. I want to tell you what we found, because we wanted to check, for example, his claim that when they came to power in 2017, they met the total road network in the country was 78,400. We checked with the 2018 annual progress report of the Ministry of Roads, and that checks out. And so that's true. But the second bit of claim he made that we fact checked didn't turn out to be true, which is what? The second claim is that he claimed that on the road condition before the MP took over. So this was the minister giving us what they inherited in terms of road condition. He says, as of January 7, 2017, they met 39% good road, 32% fair, and 29% poor, right? But we went back to the same 2018 annual progress report by the same ministry, and that gave us a different picture. What did we find? We found that, in fact, contrary to what the minister was saying, that only 39% was good, the document, the annual progress report, puts it at 41% roads were classified as being in good condition. So that's slightly 2 percentage points higher than that. I mean, listen, keeping them honest, this is fact checking. Even if it's 1%, it's not accurate. We have to point it out because the document is there to back us up. And then not what he says, 39%. Again, we also found that 29% were classified as poor and not, 26% were classified as poor and not 29%. Again, that is the minister overstating the percentage of poor roads they inherited when they won power and they assumed office in January 2017. It's a 3 percentage point lower than what he had actually told us. And so this is just to fact check a bit of what he said. And the research desk has done a fantastic job on this. And so we're going to be sitting down and having a conversation about this roads matter. It affects everybody, trust me. I mean, in elections, this is the bread and butter issue that sometimes flips the coin. And so my guests are joining me. We're going to be getting into this. You don't want to go anywhere on the back of this research. We're going to be putting a few questions to all the sites indeed. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us here on PM Express. And as you can see in the back there, that, by the way, is a view of the Obechabi Lamte Circle, which is, I don't know whether it's finished, but it's open to traffic. But you can see in the middle there, it looks like there's a lot of more work, beautification work that needs to be done. But that in itself was a subject of some significant controversy in terms of the two main parties who started or who didn't start it. We'll get into that very shortly, but it's really about you. And not necessarily about the two sides. It's a question really is about what the government now and the government in waiting are doing to fix the challenges that you have with roads. Again, we need to ask a few hard questions on both sides so we get clarity on what is feasible and what is not, so you can choose where to bang your hopes when it comes to these very critical matters when it comes to road. And that is why I'm delighted that I'm being joined in the studio by Kwame Govins Agboja, who is the ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee. He himself is a civil engineer?
I'm an architect.
An architect, and so this largely is a place that he's very comfortable in. Kennedy Osei-Nyako is the chairman, Roads and Transport Committee. He joins us via Zoom. And also Ebo Hilton is a former chairman of the Road Contractors Association. They are important because they actually do what you see on the screen. They construct and build the roads. And so they are in it. They know what's happening. And so it's good to hear their view on the matter once you've heard both sides on this. And so thank you all for joining me, gentlemen. Governor, let me start with you. Let me start with you. You doubt the bold, ambitious promises that government just made on Sunday. Let's start with the big picture. Why?
Well, first, thank you very much, Evans, and I'm grateful to be on this wonderful program. My regards to my chairman and the Ebo as well, and the viewers. My reaction to the first thing the minister said, which has got to do with the 6,000 kilometers, is first of all, 6,000 kilometers of roads could have been done in 4 years, past by 2020. If you consider the fact that Sino Hydro alone was 441 kilometers, and were all supposed to be completed by December 2020. As we speak, not a single one of those projects have been completed. In fact, the contractor didn't even visit the site of majority of them. The only active project on that is the Tamale interchange, which is still 70-something% complete. So that project is a total failure in terms of our projections into the future. The minister comfortably repackages that and tells us that that will be part of the 6,000. And I'm saying that with the resources and everything that has been given to this government, he should be telling us they could do even 15,000. Do you know why? If you take the minister's own...
Sino Hydro didn't come, did it? The Sino Hydro loan didn't come.
Well, they call it barter. They said it's not a loan. That's some Chinese people have a lot of money, would do the road, and whenever we mine bauxite and change it into something, we use the proceeds to pay them.
But that didn't happen the way it...
Well, I mean, he's still flogging it. So, for some reason, he's still banking his hope, and he's part of this. Look, within the feeder roads portfolio, current projects is 10,700 kilometers of road, currently. So if you have, for feeder roads alone, over 10,000 kilometers, and then you are telling us that in 4 years' time, you can only complete 6,000 kilometers. Does that add up? Feeder roads alone have got over 10,000 kilometers, according to the ministry. It means that the minister is saying that for the next 4 years, these 10,000 kilometers of road under the feeder roads alone cannot be completed because these are road, Ghana GOG project, 7,200, consolidated fund, 3,394, GNPC project, 293, Ghana gas project, 21, Sino Hydro, 58, another one, 884. So where from these 6,000 kilometers of road we are talking about? And NDC says, these are projects you should have completed by 2020. You are rehashing things that you should have done in 4 years past and trying to flog it to us that you will do by 4 years. In other words, you will take 8 years to do this thing. And we think that that is not right because you had resources for this.
When you say they have resources, what do you mean?
On record, they borrowed more. They took more taxes. And for instance, the Sino Hydro was not dependent on anything. When I warned them in Parliament that this is not feasible because nobody is going to hand you over $600 million based on an assumed quantum of bauxite down there that you haven't even brought out for the person to see. And they told us it's better. The Chinese are happy. You remember that story? Dr. Baumia hit a $15 billion jackpot in China. It was all part of that. So currently, even the project we have approved, Temamoto Way towards a central university, we've approved that loan in Parliament. That is their project. The contractor is not on site. Because even those who borrow us money are probably apprehensive about our debt sustainability issue. So this whole thing about what the minister did, I think he was hyper in terms of trying to tell a story, and that does not...
But reconcile, I mean, if you say 6,000 is not enough, there should be more.
Yes. And the 6,000 should have been done by 2020.
Okay, but isn't that the government being realistic?
No, they are not being realistic. They're realistic.
Because you're almost saying the 6,000 is understating what, I mean, they should be more ambitious.
Exactly.
But then that's being realistic, right?
No, because the reason, the point I'm making about not being realistic is that in the budget, it's only 1 billion that is available to construct roads. And if you consider the fact that some road projects in this country are $2 million per kilometer, if you even say $1 million, what can the 1 billion Ghana cedi do? If you change that into dollars, it's no amount of money.
I mean, sorry, okay, so when it's a 1 billion over what period? I think is it over?
That's just the 2021 budget.
No, sorry, the road and bridge construction for 2021 is 332 million.
No, if you look at page...
because I have here this is a budget by chart of account, right? It's and that's all programs, right? And then this is roads and highways, and then he gives you the breakdown of road and bridge construction, and roads and rehabilitation maintenance, and how much they want to spend, and then they even go to project
with the bridges. Most of the bridges are donor funded.
Yeah.
So they are not even captured here.
I mean, so if you see, they have road and bridge construction.
Yeah. And then what?
And they have 332 million, which is 2021. So all programs is 1.9 billion.
Yes.
But if you're isolating just for road and bridge, it's 332 million. And then you have roads rehabilitation maintenance at 983 million.
That makes it even worse because...
I mean, just to be factual.
Yes, exactly. That makes it even worse because the capital investment in this budget is just about 1 billion.
Yeah, okay. I mean, on that note, I want to bring in Mr. Nyako because that raises the fundamental question about funding. Mr. Nyako, thank you for staying with us. Do I have Mr. Nyako?
Yes, Evans, I'm here.
Yes. I mean, let's start with, this bit I was just pointing out to Mr. Agboja. Because in the budget, if you look at the budget that you've put aside just for road and bridge construction, it is 332,872 million for 2021. And then road rehabilitation maintenance is 983 million. This is a government that is projecting to build 66,000 kilometers of road. At this rate, I mean, in fact, if you go even to your projection, 2024, you only want to spend 82 million cedis. In 2023, you want to spend 82 million again. In 2022, you want to spend 82 million fast. So apart from this year, where we are spending 332 million, for the next 3 years, you spend 82 million a year. That clearly cannot get you 6,000 kilometers of roads a year in 4 years.
Yeah, Evans, thank you for having me on your show, and good evening to my ranking too as well. It's quite unfortunate that I'm not in the country to sit on the table with my ranking to do justice to the discussion on the table. But let me just first of all address the issue that you have raised. I think, all of us have the budget, and I don't want either yourself or even my ranking to put out false information out there. Okay, so if you go to the road ministry, they have 2 strong sources where they are getting their funding. 3 strong sources. Okay, the one which is coming from GOG the one which is coming from donor funding, and the one which is coming to road fund. Road fund alone, this year alone, they are going to get about, the ministry is going to get about 1.2 billion, okay? And that is in addition to the GOG 1.9 billion total, which comprises of compensation, okay? Donor is around about 900 plus million. So if you put it together, it goes beyond the figure that you are mentioning there.
Now, but let's clarify. When you say it's going to a road ministry, there is administrative cost and all the other things. We want to isolate what we are going to use to spend on roads specifically. Okay. That's what we are talking about. Because really, because really, if you look at the budget for roads ministry, it's 1.9 billion, right?
Out of that 1.9 billion, okay, around 900 plus million is going as capital expenditure, okay? In addition to 1.2 billion from road fund. So if you put 900 plus million to the 1.2 billion, we are talking about in excess of 2 billion. This excludes money coming from donor support. So even on the side
I'm sorry. Which document are you quoting from? Can you be more specific? Because I want to follow you. I want to make sure that we are being.
When you go, I don't have my budget here, but I'm giving you a fact that I know. I know from the budget. If you look at the road fund.
For clarity.
Road fund alone. Road fund alone.
Can I do a steady breakdown? Because I have the budget in front of me. I want to do a breakdown for you. And this is
the road fund alone.
Government of Ghana.
Check how much will go to the ministry.
Okay.
Go to the road fund section. You will see the amount that is going to the ministry, which is not part of has not been added to the total amount, the 1.9 billion that you are referring to. So you can check from your budget.
Okay. So again, on that, this document, and this is the 2 page, this is the paragraph 2.9, budget by chart of account, program, sub-program, and natural account, entity, Ministry of Roads and Highways, funding, and this is important, all source of funding. And it says year 2021, currency, CD. And it says management, all programs. For 2021, 1.9 billion. All sorts of funding. So that will include road fund, everything else you've mentioned. This is I'm just quoting from a government website.
Please check the details that you have given to. Check the details that you are giving to them. They've given a breakdown. They say all sorts of funding. They will give you a breakdown where all those monies are coming from. Those coming from GOG, those coming from road fund, those come from donor. So you can do. I don't have my budget here, but you can look at it. But
the documents I have in front of me, and again, this is the GIFMIS budget module, and so this is the final thing in terms of what government is going to get to spend.
It's in the budget, okay? So you just go. You don't look at the budget. Is a big document. You don't look at one section of it. When you look at the budget, even on the Ministry of Roads alone, they have almost about 3 or 4 section pages, which talks about monies that will be going to, and expenditures that will be going to the road ministry. So until we do a critical analysis of it, we have met the ministry, okay?
Yeah.
I had the opportunity for the ministry to present the entire budget, their program, and the total amount that is coming to the ministry. So offhand, I know how much is going to the ministry.
Yeah, except that the document I have in front of me doesn't support the numbers that you are putting out.
Because you are looking at one, you are just looking at, you have not gone through the entire pages of the budget. We'll talk about the road ministry. That's what I'm saying.
There's just one table.
One session.
There's just one table that summarizes all this, and I have it in front of me. And I'm isolating, again for emphasis, I'm isolating what they are budgeting to spend on road bridges, road rehabilitation, maintenance.
You see, Evans, with that one, you see road fund. If you see road fund, then I will support whatever you are saying.
No.
Check inside.
So
this, the road fund.
So this document I'm looking at doesn't have, it puts everything, it says all source of funding. I'm going to put that up on TV so you can see it, and then you could do it shortly. But let's come back to your fundamental point. Your fundamental point is that there is enough money to achieve 6,000 kilometers in 4 years?
Evans, we as a country, we have a problem, okay? If you look at the road network that we have, the challenges that we have on our road, okay? A country with a population of about 30 plus million, we have just a road network of 78,400. That's the total road network in the country, okay? And this road, I'm happy that you have given a breakdown of how much percentage is good, which is fairly good, and which is poor. This is the situation that we find ourselves that we are dealing with. Everybody in the country wants a good road, which is, is basic, and they are right to, ask for good road. But it is about money.
Yes.
In 8 years of the NDC administration, they added the total road that they constructed in this country, including asphaltic overlay, is 1,068 kilometers. Within 4 years, from 2017.
1,068.
1,068. Out of that 1,068, 500 kilometers are just for asphaltic overlays. So they did 568 kilometers of bitumen surface or regraveling. That is what they did in 4 years, and in 8 years, from 2009 to 2016. And this is a country that we have a challenge. All our roads are not good. And you have a government comes in within 4 years, able to undertake road project totally 3,476.57 kilometers.
In 4 years?
Since independent, no government in this country within its first 4 years have been able to construct such huge or undertake such a huge project. We are talking about 3,476 kilometers. These are facts there. I can share it with you. I wanted to even send it to you earlier. And we have given breakdown. We have given details, locations, the percentage rate of work done, the amount required. I would have wished that I would have sent it to you now so that you put it on your screen for everybody to know.
Yeah.
We did 1,301 kilometers of asphaltic overlay. We've done 2,000 plus kilometers of bitumen surfacing and regraveling.
Yeah, the minister.
If you put this one together, we are talking about some 3,476 kilometers.
Okay, but the minister.
Ask my colleague there, ask Honorable Abuja. He was a ranking from in the last parliament.
I will shortly.
He was a ranking. Ask him.
Stay with me.
How many kilometers did the NDC government added to our road network? Ask him.
Okay.
He's there.
I will. I will. Mr. Nyako, stay with me. And Mr. Abuja has made notes, but I want to bring in quickly Mr. Bohuting on this question about the money because of the funding for it. Mr. Huting, you are, former chair of the Road Contractors Association. Based on what you know, how much you're owed, etc., what does your gut feeling say about whether or not there's enough money to, in fact, construct all these 6,000 roads in the next 4 years?
Thank you very much, Evans, and good evening to my two honorables, Nyako and Abuja. It's very interesting sitting down as an industry player and listening to our two politicians. But unfortunately, that's what happens. And we, like this saying goes, when the elephants fight, two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers.
Yeah.
And I think this is how the case has been for all these years. It's always NDC, NPP, we've constructed so many kilometers, we've done so many kilometers. They never ask about whether the people, the companies who constructed those roads have been paid. Mm-hmm. That is the problem. And so for me, it's not about 6,000 kilometers or 10,000 kilometers or whatever, because yes, like both of them have acknowledged, or rather Honorable Abuja acknowledged, it is very possible to even do more than 10,000 kilometers within a 4-year period. But that is based on planning. That is based on how much you have in your kitty and how you're going to decide to spend it. Because you see, let me just give you one simple example. Asphalt laying. It's a very expensive activity. So, look, the whole budget for 6,000 kilometers of roads, asphalt laying alone can take 1,000 kilometers and you can take all the money. You understand? So for me, my interest is what percentage of the 6,000 kilometers is going into asphalt laying, what percentage is going into bituminous surface dressing, and what percentage is going into, grade graveling and graveling, reshaping, and all those kind of things, aside of the other maintenance activities. And you see, like Honorable Agboja started, indicating, and of course it was you, Evans, who started it, indicating the percentage of poor roads that we have, the fair ones that we have, and the good ones that we have. It was actually the need to maintain our roads, which led to the establishment of the road fund, purposely to maintain roads, because the World Bank said, we're always giving us money to construct roads, but then we're not maintaining them. And so the roads go bad, and we go back to them again to ask for more money. And so that is the reason way back in 1987, the road fund was established. But unfortunately, the road fund has been abused by every government that has come into power. They've abused it. You understand? And so when it happens like that, it is the road contractor who suffers. It is the road contractor who is impoverished. Look, I'll give you an example. When MEDA, the first MEDA that we had, I think that was
the one that we got to build the N1. Exactly.
There were other roads that were supposed to be constructed by local road contractors. Now, the conditions that they set out, one was that the contractor who and this was not N1 per se. This was the other roads that was going to be constructed, like normal bituminous surfacing and all of this. The condition they set up was that a contractor who would want to bid for this kind of project must have a turnover of $10 million, an annual turnover of $10 million. Now, we checked our records. We had contractors who had worked to the tune of even over $10 million, but they had not been paid.
Okay.
And so it was not reflecting in their accounts. We had to go back to MEDA to negotiate for them to reduce that requirement. And then they said, okay, so if we say we should even come to $5 million, are you able to meet it? We went back to our offices, got in touch with our big contractors, and the highest we got at that time was $2.5 million. And this was somebody who had probably worked over even $20 million, but had not been paid. So you see, our problem is the way we manage contract in this country.
But to the basic question, based on what you know, is it realistic that we can build 6,000 kilometers in 4 years?
In 4 years, if there's money available, yes, of course it can be done.
Okay.
But like I said, where is the source? Where are we getting the money from?
Yeah, I mean
to build. Which type of roads are we going to
Mr. Nyako had mentioned road fund. We'll come to the road fund question, but Mr. Boyade, he said a lot of things. I'll quickly respond to some of the things that Mr. Nyako said, and I'll ask you the road fund question because that's key.
Yes, first of all, my brother's assertion that NDC only built,
1,000.
That's not even, because under the Cocoa Road program alone, was over almost close to 3,000 kilometers.
So how many kilometers did you build?
I wouldn't be able to tell you.
But that's a challenge because we want to deal with facts. So they put out their facts.
No, he actually works at Ministry of Agri before. He knows that fact exists. And all those projects are now completed.
Okay.
So it cannot be, if Cocoa Road alone was going to...
How many kilometers did you say again?
Over 2,950 kilometers under the Cocoa Road program under John Mahama alone.
That was finished.
Those were the ones that were, in fact, some of them were 100% complete.
Okay, so we don't know exactly how much of that was finished and how much did it...
By 2016, I don't know.
But that again is a challenge to challenge what he said. If you don't have,
No, but when he said he'd have 3,000, he said he would provide the document later.
No, it's not 4,000. I mean, we checked that. It was in the document that we put.
4,000 kilometers. They've completed 4,000.
But that's their claim. That's what the minister says.
No, where?
At the press conference, he put up.
I mean, the minister said a lot of things that cannot be checked. But I agree with the gentleman.
You too.
Look, the biggest problem we have in this country currently is lack of capital investment. And my colleague was all over the place talking about challenging you on these figures. You see, what we need to be careful about is that when we prepare documents that come from a source like government, it should always be something that cannot be doubted. Yeah. This is the 2021 budget. If you look at this is the capital expenditure part of the budget under the road ministry. Look at it this way. The amount of money there is exactly 1 billion 12 million. Yeah. So when he says it doesn't include road fund, and you are pointing it to that the gift mix one captures everything that government will get. Yeah. But significantly, he did tell you that road fund would get 1.2 billion. Yes. The projection in the budget is 1.9 billion. Okay. So he's accepting the fact that road fund would accrue more money, but they won't give them that money to build a road.
Why?
Because of capping. And then the finance minister later will go and borrow money and pay interest on delayed payment. My brother, sometimes 40% of what is paid to contractors is interest on delayed payment. So it's not value to the contractor, it's not value to the country. That is the problem we have. And I'm saying that this cannot be a government that is concerned about road, because the minister said all these things.
But Ebo says that both governments have abused the road fund, and your government has too.
No.
In fact, you one time collateralized the road fund.
I explained it. At a point in time, all road agencies were owing money. So under the NDC, we established the road fund, and it was accruing just about $250 million. We came to Parliament, augmented it so we could get 1.2 billion. And we were spot on. That was one of the best things we did. So instead of owing like SNIT, the contractors some of them, government allowed them to take money from SNIT and other things. And SNIT are people's pensions. So we took a loan from the UBA based on accruals of up to 1.2, because it wasn't 250 any longer, for a period of time. By some August 2018, that entire indebtedness to UBA should have been completed.
Yeah, but that was that bottom line misapplying what the road fund was supposed to.
No, because the money was used to pay contractors who have worked for government and are not being paid. Yeah, and 400 million of that money was actually disbursed by the...
But the road fund is to maintain roads.
Yes, I'm saying that it paid contractors who did road maintenance work and others who were not paid. So they didn't take the loan and do what the finance minister is doing now and go and use it for free SHS or planting for food. The money, all the money went into road activities. That is the difference. It was this government under the current minister who further went to collateralize the road fund. So there's no question as to whether the road fund is incumbent now because of NDC, because that got sealed, that got finished. The problem they have now is simply because the current government have collateralized the road fund, and not only that, have capped it. So the road minister could have additional 800 million Ghana cedi to deal with the problem Ebo is talking about, because 800 million can do a lot for road contractors, but that money is not available. So how can this government prove to you that they are serious about road? My brother is saying, even if you were to, assuming that the 1 billion we talked about in the budget, which is the capital investment, which you cannot argue because this is the budget. Yeah. Assuming that you were to add even 1 billion from a road fund, how does that close the 14 billion Ghana gap we are talking about? It's not possible.
Okay. I mean, Mr. Nyako, respond to the road fund question, because you brought it up. But that road fund is so crippled in its ability to actually fund roads that whatever is coming in there, you mentioned 1.2, but it's 1.9. It's not all of it is not going to go into the purpose for which we set up the road fund. That clearly is an issue, you know.
Even as I said, 1.2 is going to be given to the ministry. I never said that is what is coming to the road fund for this year.
Okay, no problem. But the fundamental question remains.
So we are looking at about 1.9 billion.
Yeah,
but government has a policy. This is a law, the earmarking law. It was brought to Parliament. Government says that I'm going to earmark all funds going to other sectors so that I will have a pool of money sitting there. So when there is a problem at any of the critical sectors, I can inject those money to those sectors. It's not as if government is taking the money to go and spend on compensation. Government says that let us earmark. It is not only the road fund that have been earmarked, and that is the policy. It's a law. He was in Parliament when government introduced that law. Okay, and he also talked about government going to mortgage the road fund again to take another. That's a palpable lie. What government did is to reference the loan. Okay, so if it is 5 years that we were to pay the money, finish completing paying them, and government says that, okay, I cannot, because there's a lot of pressure on me. I want to increase the years to about 10 years so that to free up some money for government to also embark on some project. So it's not as if that government went to the bank and said that, okay, UBA, add another 200 million additional to me and increase the debt. That is not how the situation is. Government wanted to free itself because when we came, they have mortgaged the loan and government was finding, the road sector was suffocating. There was no money.
He said they did that to get money to pay the contractors. So
it was left with a little to pay with the contract. You see, Evans, when I started making my contribution, I said, we have a problem as a country. And I'm happy the contractor there is making that kind of proposition, okay? Because if this government inherited such huge debts in the road sector, almost about 5, we were even lucky to be able to audit those, to be able to run the figure up to close to about 5 billion. Government since 2011, the NDC government even failed to pay some road contractors. It is a Akufo-Addo government that came to pay those people. And this have come to compound with other road contract projects that the Akufo-Addo government has also contracted the contractors. So the issue has blown up. For the 4 years from 2017 to 2020, the Akufo-Addo government have paid, released about 10 billion to settle road debts. But it is not enough because the amount of money that we owe contractors are huge. As we speak, even as of December 2020, interim payment certificate alone that we've raised to even road fund alone was about 3.9 billion. GOG was 2.2 billion. If we put this money together alone, as at December, 31st December, we are talking about 6.4 billion Ghana city. That government owes contractors.
Yeah. So I think you yourself had now laid out the problem. So in the midst of all the financial problems you just laid out, how is government planning to get the funds to do 6,000, to do 20 interchanges? I think it was 120 bridges, all that. I mean, how is that possible?
So some of the government is bringing some innovative ways of constructing some of the roads, okay? Especially those dualization of some critical roads. Government says that, okay, you know what? Let us use PPP approach to get those projects done so that the burden will not be on government. So if they are talking about Kumasi, maybe from Nsawam or from Apeja to Kumasi, which is going to cost almost close about $300 million. Government said that we are going to do that project through PPP from, let's say, from Malam to Cape Coast Road, Winnipeg Cape Coast Road. Government said we want to do that one through PPP so that it will not be a government burden. So that the private participants will tow it and make the money from the tolls. Yes, exactly. So is that why? That's why you're proposing the same thing. That government want to do that project because government alone cannot fund. That's what the minister said, that if you want to fund this critical project that he has identified, which in total is totaling about 11,111 kilometers, we are talking about 7.82 billion that government will need to construct this road. So is that why the government is proposing to increase the road toll so that the private sector can feel there's an incentive to pump money into constructing the road so they can tow and make their money from there? One of the ways that government, it is, for me, if I should even recommend to government, is to look at even because now investors don't want, no private investors that don't want to even invest in our road sector. Why? Because if you are paying about 50 pesos, the maximum you pay is about 2 cedi 50 pesos. The lowest globally, the average toll globally is $1. And you are paying 50 pesos. Who is going to just look at motorway? The motorway alone, if you are to, which is about, which starts from Apenkwa, they are talking about 21 kilometers of road. It's going to cost this country, let's assume it's going to cost this country almost about $500 million. And you are going to toll this 50 pesos, 1 cedi, and 2 cedi 50 pesos. How many years is the private investor going to recoup back his money? So if we want to look at the areas of getting private sectors, that is how it is done in Europe, in America. You see private people building road, easy pass building road and towing it and making money. But we don't have that kind of arrangement because it's not lucrative.
Yeah, I want to take a break.
We cannot rake in enough.
I want to take a break on this.
As we speak now, even all our road tolls in the country, 36 road tolls, gives the country an average of 72 million Ghana cedi in a year.
Okay, so clearly there's an issue there. I want to take a break. When I come back, I'll pick the brains of Mr. Agboja on this suggestion that a lot of private sector guys will come in and build and toll the roads, and then there's a controversial subject of raising the road tolls. And I'll hear Mr. Hutings comment on that also, and then finally ask him what's the status of how much they are owed now when it comes to contractors in this country. Stay with me. And this is still the big roads debate. As we begin to wrap up, I just want to give, there's just 2 minutes to share. And so I'll get Mr. Agboja to chip in on this suggestion about the private sector participation and increasing the road tolls. What's your take on it? Very briefly, so I can get the Mr. Hutings.
Thank you very much. The private sector already participates. If you look at even the government-owned projection, GNPC is building some road. Ghana Gas is building some road. And other private people have built roads in the past. But what we are talking about now is for a major move where a private sector player can take a stretch of road, let's say from Accra to Aflao, and fund the construction and agree on the terms under which he will recoup their money. We don't yet have a law in this country that can safeguard government and public interest in terms of if you were to do that, the private player, the party player doesn't wake up one day and tell you, we'll charge you $3 to use a toll booth. That is the first thing. Secondly, we in the NDC are saying that we don't disagree with reviewing the road tolls. Everybody says that, the last time it was reviewed was in 2009. We need to be fair about it. How much do you increase it? That debate needed to be a fair one. But when you have a situation where already the people of this country give government of Ghana 1.9 billion, 1.8 billion, and the finance minister takes away 800 million. Even if you increase the road toll, it will just increase the portion that the finance minister takes away for consumption.
So if they give everything else, you're ready to back them?
We said that if they give everything back, we can start talking.
About a conversation,
yes,
okay.
Exactly.
Mr. Huting, we'll quickly wrap it up for me. What do you say about the way forward? What's the way forward out of this, Mr. Huting?
Well, thank you very much. I think